What's up, pretty gang? Welcome back to my channel, back with another video. It's your favorite nail tech, Peaches. I'm feeling a little bit better, and here we are. Okay, so you guys have already seen these nails, okay? And I'm going to show you the client perspective because honestly I don't have that many pictures because we're in a rush, okay? And so I'm going to show you how I did the base. We're going to go over a lot of cuticle work, and we're going to talk a little bit about what to do when your client kind of puts you in a rush or in a crunch. Okay, so before we go ahead and get started, let's make sure you guys are following me on social media. I apologize, I don't think I have a subscriber for today because I'm still just trying to get back on track. Make sure you guys are subscribed, notifications on, and we're gonna go ahead and get started. Okay, so if you guys can hear me still not sounding the best, I apologize. I know I said I was gonna have a video up about 2 days ago, but you guys, the past 3 days I have been feeling like just really bad. Today's the first day I woke up feeling okay. I didn't even like get out of bed until like close to 1 o'clock, so I was determined today to get something done. Okay, so for starters, I am using a custom color that I had made. You guys already know I keep this nude pink available all times because this is one of the most popular nudes that I use. I'm thinking about making it to sell because a lot of people ask me about it, but the last time I decided I was going to sell acrylics, nobody was interested or buy. So y'all let me know in the comments if this is a color that you guys would be interested in purchasing. Okay, so first things first, we are dealing with an XL basic set covered in blings with some bling charms as well. Now this was not the original go-to, it's not the original plan, and I'll talk a little bit further about that in a minute, okay? But when doing long nails, I want to just start off by saying the way I do it is I like to cover the majority of the nail, okay, and the proper strength and everything that you need, and then I go in with my cuticle bead. That saves a lot of time, although in this case it did not save time because I actually was not, this footage is kind of when I first started to not feel so good, so I was kind of working a little slower than what I was used to, and you know, my client was talking to me a lot and I was just kind of in a daze, and so it did take me like 15 minutes just to do the application on this one hand. Yeah, I mean, I know the nails are longer as well, but like I like to keep it within like 10 minutes if possible, but you know, it's okay. It's okay. So once you go ahead and get your first bead out the way, which will cover from where the tip and the nail meet down to the free edge of the extension, you could say, or the tip of the extension, I'm gonna go in with a cuticle bead. Boom, bam. Okay, you guys know I use a size 18 brush. It was a 16 until they didn't have 16, so I just had to get what they had a while ago, and now I'm on to 18. So that cuticle bead should go ahead and do its own thing. You see, it should not take too much work, which means that my ratio of powder to liquid is where I would want it to be. If your beads are too runny, like they're going all over the place, it means it's too wet and too loose. And if your beads are so thick that they are just kind of like sitting on there like a scoop of ice cream, it's too much. Okay, it's too much acrylic, and it's also probably a little bit too dry. So make sure you get all that flooding out of the way, okay? Because when you're working with long nails, not only do you want to go ahead and have like the right type of apex, but you do still want it to look like it's natural, okay? So I'm adding that last bead just to tie everything together. I'm making sure I'm tucking everything under her skin, and I just want to make sure I have a really nice structure, okay? If you can get your structure down, then that's really the key to everything. Structure is the key to long lasting nails, that they're not going to break the very same day or anything like that, okay? And your base is going to be able to last a while. So once again, I am putting the acrylic down, letting it set for a second, and then I'm going to push it up a little bit because I want it to cover where the tip and the natural nail meet, and I'm making sure it's not a big ass lump, okay? I'm making sure to like fade it up so that way the next bead is not going to do too much, you know, it's not going to make a lump in the middle of the natural nail, okay? And the rest, you see, I don't like to swipe. I'm more of like a pat, tap, drag, because in reality, whatever bead that you're using, that will be the amount that you're using for the structure. Okay, so you want a bead, not a bunch of thin beads, but grab you one nice solid bead, so that way you don't have to swipe it all away. You're only bringing down the excess. Okay, when you think about it like that and you start to realize, like, you know what, most of this product I do need, then you're gonna waste less, which is gonna be saving you money. Okay, bam. And I'm gonna make sure that the base is decent enough and staying in place enough to where I can add that cuticle bead, cuticle area. You guys know I work in larger beads than most, but it works for me, so that way we can go ahead and get this done, especially for basic sets, because it does not take a whole lot of acrylic, but it just needs to be placed properly. Okay, and that cuticle bead is going to slip right into the cuticle area, as you can see. When you got your ratios right, like I said, I do have a video on here somewhere where I am showing you guys like proper ratios. Okay, when you have your ratios correct, it's really gonna make it all the better. And then I usually go on with one more bead, so that way I can make sure everything is fully tucked and drag down the excess into the apex area. Okay, now because these are a longer length, I usually do 3 beads, but like if it was a shorter length, I could usually get it done in 2, unless something was kind of bothering me about it or whatever. So you can see there is like a little divot down there, and that's okay, because I'm just gonna like pat it out at some point, or I'll just probably file it out. So that's just the basic explanation on how I do my application. Okay, so really quick, I'm going to talk to you about how to deal with clients when they are typically running behind, or they have things going on that's going to affect your time. So this is a regular of mine. She comes every couple of months. She doesn't stay with her nails done like super duper consistently, but I can say that I do see her maybe like every other month or every like 2 months. Okay, and so she booked for her birthday appointment, and she was booked for acrylic toes as well as an XL set. In my chair, if in case you guys didn't know or haven't been on my Instagram, I don't book people by like, oh, do you want French, do you want this? I just have you book, look, a basic set, or which is like plain color, and I have a variation, basic plus add-ons, which is a plain color set with like a few things here and there, like, you know, a little bit of nail art or bling or something. And then the other option will be freestyle / junk set, because those take roughly the same. And then the last option that you have is to like book the length that you want for non-basic, and non-basic will be acrylic designs such as French, ombre, you know, just things like that. So she booked for a non-basic XL set, so that was going to be booked for I want to say probably like 2 hours and 45 minutes, I don't know, something like that. And then her acrylic toes was going to be an additional like hour 20, because I didn't know if she want French, you know, whatever. I typically book acrylic toes for that long to incorporate people who want nail designs, bling, etc. So when she got there though, mind you, her appointment was at about 2 o'clock, and she told me that she had a hair appointment at 4 o'clock, which obviously we weren't going to be technically done until closer to 5 o'clock. Yeah, or after 5. So that was kind of like something that was like, oh wow, I didn't expect that. I think she was the last person. She was not the last person for my day, actually, because I ended up having a 2-hour gap because of that. But so what that basically did was kind of put a little bit of like, okay, and I told her, I said either the length is gonna have to go or the toes are gonna have to go, because I'm not sure what you want, girl, but like, if you want to be done to make it to your appointment by 4, then we're gonna have to adjust. So she basically was like, you know what, I think let's just do a plain color with hella bling. So I said okay, and I was like, you know, we still may not have time to do the toes, just depending on what's going on. She said okay. So that kind of relieved a little bit of the pressure, that it's like, okay, I want to get everything done, but now I'm on a time strain that I was not originally on. So the first thing is first, do not get upset with your client. It's okay to talk sternly to them, but you don't need to be rude, because there have been times where I have told them like, look, you're coming in here, you're telling me, you're giving me an hour and a half to do something that originally was supposed to be planned to do in about 3 hours, so your expectations are going to have to shift. So typically I will tell the client, like, look, some of this, whatever part of this appointment you're okay with getting rid of, something's gonna have to go. I know you're gonna be upset because it's like that's money you were expecting in your pocket, so it does kind of suck. But at the end of the day, we are still in a customer service type field, and so we do need to treat our clients and customers with care and understanding, even when it might get on your nerves. Okay, like I said, this was a client that I've had before, and you know what, I was like, you know what, girl, it's fine, it's okay. So we did end up getting done like 10 minutes before she was supposed to be at her appointment, and luckily the place was 10 minutes away, so I mean it did work out in the end or whatever. But this was not the original, I don't think this was her original idea that she necessarily wanted, because she did talk about she wanted like outlines and certain things, and that's okay, that's fine. So when a client puts you on a time constraint that you were not originally thinking that you need to be on, the first thing you need to do, manage the client's expectations and manage your attitude. Okay, I do know who needs to hear this. There's a lot of girls who need to hear this. Lash text, body text, nail text, hair text, whatever the hell type of text. You got to manage your attitude, because no matter how many things go on, I always use the saying, if a girl don't want to come, she don't want to come. Okay, if someone want to change their mind, they're going to change their mind. There's nothing you can do to force people to do what it is that you want, because honestly, all it's going to cause is friction. You're going to be more irritated, you're going to make less money, and now you're going to have a bad taste in someone's mouth, which someone's going to tell someone else, and your word of mouth, your reputation is going to drop a little bit. I don't care if you feel like you don't care that it matters. No, because it does. Because me personally, I'm trying to brand myself. I want to be able to go, if someone in any city heard my name, how would I be looked at? That's what I think about. So I just wanted to throw that little tidbit out there, because I feel like that's something that is greatly lacking in the beauty community. When people say, oh, well, school don't teach you anything, wow, I went to school for all these months, didn't learn nothing. No, we did. And I always have to say this, you don't have to be good at what you're doing to graduate. School is not to make you good, because the reality of it is more than half the people who graduate from all these little courses and things, not courses, but like, cosmetology schools and nail schools and stuff, about half of them is not even going to be doing what they graduated to do. And then you got half of them that, is not going to even get licensed, whether that's because they failed or that's just they chose not to. So it's like, people need to stop looking at it like that. What school teaches you is professionalism and how to handle certain things and deal with certain things. And in school, you get practice with people who make you late all the time. They put you into your lunch breaks. They do all this type of stuff, and baby, that is for free. Okay, so I just want to throw that out there for people saying that, that's not a useful skill to have. It's extremely useful, because now what we have is a bunch of people who, hey, my business, my way, which I understand that, but you just have to think about the overall branding of your business and what type of reputation that you would like to uphold. Okay, so I would just want to add that little tidbit in there, because that's something that I personally dealt with at this appointment today, and I just wanted to share with you all. Again, manage your clients' expectations. You don't have to be, kissing their butt or nothing, but you gotta just politely tell them, like, hey boo, I understand you got other things planned, which is why I typically recommend people to not try and plan your hair and your nails so close together. Or if you do, just be mindful of, me personally, it's going to tell you when you book your appointment how long it's going to take. So it might be earlier than that you'll be done, but this is max how long it's going to take. So if you are going to go ahead and book something like that, just pay attention to things of that nature, and you'll be fine. Okay, so I hope that's something that helps other people that kind of struggle with, you don't like change, because really that's what it boils down to. You don't like change, or some people are just straight up greedy when it comes to money, and so they're just looking at the client as dollar bills and not somebody who got feelings or whatever. So once again, I like to go ahead, lay that bead down. I like to blend it up, and then I'm just letting the bead do its thug thizzle. I am just lightly tapping and patting, so that way everything will drag down evenly. That's the best advice I have for you guys. You can see on the other ones how they're all pretty similarly of a same thickness. That's what you want. We need the right amount of strength. We don't want them too bulky or anything like that, because keep in mind your application is the foundation for your shaping. Also, if you're interested, next month I will be in San Jose at the Nail Pro 2020 at the San Jose Nail Convention, giving a 3-hour workshop. Okay, I have the link in my description to go ahead and buy the tickets, and then for the show I have a coupon code as well that I put in there, and then it is going to be an additional fee for the workshop itself on Saturday, but it would be way cheaper than trying to travel if I actually did it in real life class type of situation. So the game that you're going to be getting out of this 3 hours would be a lot cheaper than somebody's $500 one-day class or whatever, what have you. So if you're interested in learning more, I will be having that there. Okay, but yeah, your application is your foundation for your shaping. So if your application is not the best, then your shaping may come out to not be what you wanted. Once you work on your application and get things down to how you would like them to be, the shape is going to really just fall in place. Okay. Sorry, you guys, let me get something to drink. I'm so sorry. I'm still not feeling the best. I do feel better, but it's like I have a little bit of like nasal drip, I guess you can say, because my nose was so stuffy and everything is draining, and now it's just everything's just all draining now. So let me get something to drink. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys what my application looks like. I wasn't too happy with one of the fingers. I think it was the ring finger at the time. I felt like it was a little bit wider than what it needed to be, but that's okay, because we are going to shape it. So I've already filed around the cuticle areas and things like that. Did my finish filing in that regard. So when I'm shaping, I always make sure to hold the client's fingers very tight. Not to the point where they're going to get hurt, but girl, if you let their finger go all over the place, it's not going to be a good look. It's going to be painful for them. It's not going to go how you think it's going to go. So at this point, I got a knock on the door, and I was like, I know it's not my next client, because not only do I still have time to finish her nails, but we're going to have 2 hours left before the next person. So I'm like, oh, what's going on? It turns out that my suite that I work at, they're hella nice. And I guess it's been 2 years since I first started working in that building, and so the building manager, she stopped by and she gave me like a little bottle of champagne or what have you. They gave me this little note, which was really nice, you guys. That was really sweet. It's always nice to like work in an environment where, and this is why it's so hard for me to let go of my suite. I know I pay a lot every month to be there, but it is worth it. I don't know, I have just such a like tie with this place that it's, I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. Like, they're so professional here. They take things so seriously. It's like I really don't even have to ask them to do certain things. Like, you know, they just be on it. It makes my job a lot easier, and also my clients love being there. It's just, you know what I'm saying? Like, the staff is very helpful. The bathrooms is always stays clean. Like, it's, yeah, I really do like it a lot, and I don't know what my next move is gonna be, but until then I will be here. Okay, so normally I don't like getting interrupted, but for things like that I like getting interrupted. It makes me feel very appreciated, even though I know everybody else and their mama got one probably when they hit their 2 years, but I don't care. Like, girl, I don't care, leave me alone. I'm special. So I think I was gonna reach for the other hand, but she was also on the phone, so I really don't know what's happening right here. And then like the way, like, I had to set her phone up on my charger, but it was for her birthday, so her and her boyfriend was gonna go out to dinner, so he was at the mall, so he was FaceTiming her, and they was looking for shirts, and yeah, but it was cool. Like, she just hand me whichever hand she not using. I don't mind people being on the phone as long as they hand me their hand when I need it. Okay, so back to shaping. So when it comes to shaping, you need to follow the line that is already there for you. So you see how I'm filing against this line? My file is straight up against it. It's not lean at an angle. I know everybody keep talking about tapered square, this, that, and the other. I tell people the reason why I feel like tapered square don't exist is because at some point when they're like, yeah, it's in between a coffin and a square. Okay, well, in between a coffin and a square, it's either going to look like, why is that square not square? Or it's going to look like, why is that coffin so wide? You see what I'm saying? If you go to the right nail tech and you tell them, hey, I want square nails, it's gonna fit within the confines of your natural nails, so it's gonna look good. Just go to the right people. You should not have to tell people you want skinny square, you want this, you want that. People need to realize as well, like, a lot of people who are doing tapered square or, you know, whatever, they're just using stiletto tips and they're cutting off the stiletto. And to be honest, most tapered squares that I've seen, they either look square or coffin. I don't see where people are like, oh, it's in between. No, it literally looks like a square or like a coffin. So that's why I be confused, and I feel like nail techs is confused, the clients is confused. I just feel like it's too many terminologies, and that's why a lot of you guys are not getting a good shape, because you're trying to still look at too many different people's terms, too many people's different pictures, just find the way that you like. Take the complicatedness out of it. Follow the person's natural side walls and nail walls. Keep your file, whatever shape it is, keep your file right up against that and file the guide you have created for yourself when you did your application. Because this really should not be carving out the shape. This right here, the shaping process, is actually just sharpening it up and polishing it. Okay, I don't know why that stutter is so hard, but you're polishing it. You see, I like to go over the tops to make sure that there's as little lumps and bumps as possible. I know there's no such thing as perfect or anything like that, but I'd like to strive for as close to perfect as I can get, because once again, I didn't come to work to not work. You see my gloves be busted. I have a permanent indent in my thumb. Like, people ask me why I wear tape, and that's why. Certain things like that. Like, I don't know. Like I said, I really am just old school. Like, there's certain shortcuts I feel like are worth it, and certain shortcuts I feel like are not. I feel like if you are struggling doing the way of people are like using pre-shaped tips and this and that and the other, I would suggest people just get you some square tips. They don't have to be curved. You can still use your C curve and do all that stuff, and you can still build out your shapes. Shush! Like, damn. Child, these damn dogs, honey. So yeah, sometimes I tell people, like, you don't have to switch over to the tips that I use, because I know these are not the popular way. But believe it or not, it's a lot of people out here who are looking for just the regular look before COVID happened. Like, they don't want nothing fancy. They just want regular curved tips. I always tell people, if you had your nails done before COVID, these was the tip shops use. Everything else happened. That's why a lot of that stuff was like online. Yes. So you don't have to be my tips, but just try it. Try getting just a regular square tip, maybe not a C curve tip, because I believe you could put a C curve into anything. Like, I know C curved are more like tubular shaped in a way, but so maybe something with just like a light C curve. But like, try it. Just try it instead of using something pre-shaped, because I think with pre-shaped tips, and I struggled with this hard, is the fact of like, the coffin that I like to give people, it's like I can't, because this coffin is already coffined. So what the hell can I do with this? Like, it's already is how it is. I can make it go skinnier, but like, I can't shape it to the person's nails the way I want to, you know? And then sometimes coffin as well, when people use such long tips, when you cut the coffin to be shorter, there's no taper anymore. Do you see what I'm saying? So that's why a lot of people get confused. Like, oh no, these are coffin nails. But it's like, no, those look square, because the nails was so long and coffin that once you cut them to a regular length, you still have to create the coffin anyways. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. That's just a tip. If you're struggling finding the right type of tips or whatever, if you have like a square tip that you like, just, you know, try making your shapes out of that. And that way you can create your own look, your own whatever it is. Okay, so after I shape them like just regular with the hand file, I go ahead, I re-enhance the C curve, because nobody likes thick tips, and that's one of the main reasons I do this, is because it sharpens up the underneath also. It gives you a more crisp look, but then also it makes sure that the tips in the front is not thick. I just smooth over really quickly just to make sure there's no, I don't know, no weird areas or whatever. Because I typically don't use the e-file to like do any of the heavy like debulking for real across the actual nail. I just like to use it to smooth it at the end a little bit. I don't know. And then making sure the side walls are not too thick, what have you. But you can see this is like a nice put together set. The base is really nice, and you see like curved tips, everybody thinks that they're just so thick. No, when you see people with thick nails, it's just probably because they have not yet to find their balance between their look and also what's functional for the nail. Now I feel like this year is the year that I've been doing nails for 3 years now, child, and this year, end of last year to this year, is when I really started to find out the balance of acrylic needed in the apex and all that stuff. So just keep going. If you know you're still working on it, that's okay. All right, so here is the shape, and I really just wanted to up close on the cuticle area in a way. And of course, baby, that good old nasty curve, okay? So I hope this helped you guys. I hope this was some nice content for you guys. I probably won't have anything else for you guys until I go back to work, hopefully Saturday or Sunday. I appreciate you guys sticking with me and still watching. And of course, as always, I'll see you in the next one.